20 kills on Doja, Hobbit with 19, so it's been a very, very solid spread out effort from the Renegades, I mean from the Gambit side of things, excuse me. And Mo, that's a great find on a Nifty. Not aware that he's exposed at that angle, and a big, big advantage for Gambit Gaming in this round.
Yeah, now is not the time you want to be a man down. They've lost utility as well, losing Nifty. And Renegades seemingly stuck for ideas. They've slowed right down, going to be stacked up outside of A. Having Hobbit just being this B anchor has been incredibly strong, as it's allowed for 4 men to hold over here towards A. You can see actually Adren going to start to rotate off preemptively. Now that smoke rains out, so Adren going to come back. Mo nearly gets caught off guard. That would have been the perfect mistake for Renegades to capitalize on, but they missed their opportunity, and now they're going to look to push in. Doja opens. You still owe down. Naf going to go ahead and take one back. JKS doesn't last long. Naf and Az are all that remain, and we've seen these two do serious work, but it's going to start to get shut down. Moen with the last two as he closes this out for Gambit. It's going to be 16-9 here on Inferno. And with that, it's not looking great for Renegades if they want to try and make this through to the playoffs.
No, and this is a couple games they've had now where you've seen some good things going into the second half. It's just the first half where they come out flat. We saw it against FaZe where it was 13-2. This was 12-3. Those kinds of comebacks are just too much to ask for. Regardless, we're going to hear from the desk. They'll go through all the scenarios over with the GoDaddy breakdown.
The GoDaddy post-match breakdown.
Well, that is bleak. Renegades fans are going to have their head in their hands, and we have one at the panel as well. Joining me at the Xfinity Analyst desk, we do have, of course, Chad Birchall and Janko Paunovic. Not the dream scenario then for this team. We kind of talked about how they had a tendency of actually struggling to close out games. They actually struggled to start here, Chad. I mean, what were you picking up watching that?
3 rounds on the CT side is abysmal.
Yeah.
Like that's all you can really say, right? And that it's with that FaZe game, it was only 2 rounds on the T side, right? And then they had a good comeback on the City side. Here, it just felt like it was never going to happen. There was a couple of rounds in that second half where, as is that clutch against Dozier, if he had done that, it would have broken the economy. You know, we would have actually seen a stretch of rounds come out from Renegades at that point, and the hope could have been there. Yeah. But it just felt that slow start, they were doomed. Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, let's just this is going to be a bit of a different post-match, just because we don't know if Renegades are out yet. It's all hanging in the balance of the game that's happening right now. To bring up the standings for you in regards to points. FaZe and Gambit are locked in. It's the 3rd place that is in limbo. Renegades have 7 currently, but Optic and G2 are currently locked into a game. Should G2 win in overtime? Yes, if G2 win in overtime, then there's going to be a 3-way tie between Optic, G2, and Renegades go through on the head-to-head because they beat both of those teams. Right. That's the only chance now that Renegades has. If Optic close here, we can see they're on 14 rounds. They're actually going to go through in 2nd place, and I believe Gambit would then be in 3rd. Correct. FaZe are 100% through. They're straight to the semifinals. They'll be in the Oracle Arena on Saturday.
Awesome. And so for Optic, I mean, we don't sleep on Optic. They've managed to forge quite the path for them. You know, we've seen pits and troughs, but 14-10 versus G2, and on a map that they made FaZe sweat on it as well, Janko. I mean, we saw good stuff from G2 on this very map.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this particular round is going to, you know, hurt Optic a lot. They were in a 5v4 and almost knew what was coming, and they couldn't quite win it. So this game is far from over just yet. It's a bit unfortunate that we didn't get to see this game or the Gambit game on the main stream. Basically, the only game we saw from Optic was a blowout loss, and then you're like, how are they even in contention? But that was obviously just, you know, a lousy game from them. So it is going to be interesting to see what they can bring when they're actually playing well.
Right, I mean, an Optic beating G2 is not something that you would have kind of pinned as a likelihood. We know that there have been fantastic competitors in, of course, the online Pro League for North America, top of the table for them, despite their European members, and Apex with an execution as well.
Good night, Sweet Prince. Yeah, I think this Optic roster, right, the potential for them is yet to be unlocked, right, because there's so many skillful players in this team. You've got the likes of Mixwell and Magicboy. You know, we know they can turn it on at any given time.
HS, man.
Yeah, HS as well. As he's I'm not going to say he's an undiscovered talent, but he's definitely still, you know, finding his feet at this top level. And then Ali, we've known he can be interesting AWPer. You know, he can be explosive, he can do the standard stuff, but he just is maybe a little bit inconsistent. Then Freiburg in that leadership role. So this team is still definitely finding its feet, but they're putting up a great performance here against.
And this is a massive round for them because they've spent almost all of their money. So if they can win this, they're in a good position to close the game out.
Right.
But if they lose it, that's where G2 really has, you know, all of the control, and the next buy round for Optic wouldn't be ideal.
So this is going to be a bit of a spicy one. I'm just going to, I guess we'll just cast. We're going to have two color
I know
commentators.
you want to cast, Alex,
We've
so
been
go
talking
for
about
it.
this for a
We're
while.
Talking about
going
it
to
for a
help you
while.
out. It's
And
TriCast.
Yeah, TriCast. All right, well, let's jump into this one. The guys have already framed just how important this round is. Alu given the primary responsibility. Flashes will be evaded. Magis gets the first blood. Now looks pretty damn good. Magis is doing what Magis does best. This is a full buy. And already 3 bodies hit the deck in quick succession.
Well, Alex, in this particular round, but I think Chad is going to agree with me on this one. Magic just decided to be a sick guy.
Yeah.
A sick guy. I like that
guy,
term.
and
Oh, hang on.
Dude.
Oh, decision making. Oh, body. He bodies him. Double. HES and Mixwell down, and Magic's hard work.
Unraveled.
Potentially. NBK crawling up long. Look at this. Never mind. Freiburg's going to save the day. Shuts down NBK, and there's absolutely no chance of a trade. Body's miles away. Bomb loose. Could retrieve it, but this looks like a round is all said and done, and Optic are going to get themselves some match points.
A little bit eager there by MBK, right? That space had just been opened up, but they're obviously holding for the bomb, which they're not going to get to anyway. But it just seemed interesting that he went in so soon without Body having any presence.
Magic's doing his best rain impression in toilets, but that's one of those things where if you're G2, it's basically just a second too late for a guy to, you know, be there for the trade, because Magic's just had enough time to get a kill, you know, refocus on a different angle of approach, and then do that for the third time. He basically had G2 isolated in 3 1v1s.
Yeah, and you heard Chad's expression. That's kind of a summary of every G2 player and fan alike.
Some Listerine faces right there, Alex.
Absolutely. They've taken a big sip from the Listerine bottle. And they might have a couple more if this round doesn't go their way. Currently then 15-11 Optic. If they win this round, if they win any of these match points, G2 out, Optic in.
And I don't know the timeout situation, obviously, but this is where G2 should have taken a timeout. This is not a good buy for them. I mean, obviously they have... Okay, never mind. AK and Yop do the work. But I was going to say they opted for guns over utility. They only had the utility you see on Apex and on Body, and that's not enough to close out the round if you don't get the picks.
And they didn't even have they didn't have a strat there. They just found kills. Kenny just went sandbag with an AWP with no one to trade, which means like this is like tilt G2 right now because they're not even doing anything as a unit. They could have collapsed onto that bomb site if that was the plan, but the thing is they were so strung out that look, no one was there to help Kenny get away. Sure, he got an opening kill, but they couldn't even capitalize on it. And now they're in a situation with low utility, like Yanko said, that's going to make it very difficult to even get onto a bomb site.
Yeah, the point in a round like that is fine. Kenny has the AWP, that's great, but you should only buy 1 AK, and the 3 players should buy either pistols or SMGs and all the utility. So if you don't find those picks early, you still have the utility you can use for a late round execute.
And that could be what's about to take shape. HS is going to shut that down early, though. Shocks drops the head off of the snake. HS, big work from him, and there we go. NBK finds a way in. Now the question is, how can that bomb go down when Freiburg is still firing? Apex head does roll, and indeed looks like G2's eyes are going to roll if they can't get this bomb down.
Imagine if we had a smoke there.
There's the utility once again, an absence of it.
Freiburg's won this round.
Single-handedly, potentially. Majestica's going to be... Oh, Freiburg! Head after head, and it looks like he's now dead. Body will shut him down. Oh! Body saves the day for G2! That's 2 rounds back-to-back. He's done some heroics. 1 didn't work out.
Jesus.
But now G2, they're still fighting.
Body working overtime, Alex, in that round. Timing was perfect to turn for that flank, and, you know, seemed like Freiburg closed it out, but Body says no, sir.
If you're a Renegades fan right now, raise your shoeies. If we get to OT and G2 manages to close it out, we're through. And I say we. This is probably the most biased segment I think I've ever done in my life. But,
I'll allow it.
They're not at many events where the chance of them to get out of groups is actually existing. So get excited.
Hang on, Kenny's going to have a bit of a shooting gallery.
Come on, what are they? What? Okay, obviously I'm leaning towards G2 taking it to OT. But why is Apex that far up on his own? They already knew they had pistols because they manned that opening frag off the AWP, right? He's untradeable. He's now given an AK up in a position which it could have been claimed if they wanted to be brave about it. Kenny's floating on his own as well. There's nobody here. There's no trade scenarios.
At least now they're moving and grouping up towards the B bomb site, but they could still get punished here by bad timing.
And that rifle from Apex is still sitting around somewhere,
They can grab it, but the best thing I think you can do right now as Optic is just make a gamble stack in the mid-round, right? You've made that opening. You're going to force G2's hand into one bomb site or another. And if obviously we can see everything, but a gamble stack to one site, you know, was probably better than having those pistols spread out.
Let's see how this one plays out then. Let's just see if those CTs can do any more damage. They are on that limited
smoke.
buy, and yeah, NBK will find the only man on the site. Bomb will go down, and oh, never mind. So will Shots Magisk. Squeaky bum time. Body will take them both down though. And now Alu, he was all the way at long. This has been a marathon run for him to even get involved in the round, and he's going to be ended prematurely, or will he? Takes one with him. Kenny, first and last frag of the round.
The thing is, at this point, you know, the damage of economy, it helps a little bit, but if G2 are able to string this round, it's not going to matter.
I think this is where if you're Optic, you take another eco, and you just have the last proper buy round.
This is what you were talking about, right?
Last stand saloon or something along those lines.
See, they're going for the double up. They want to give themselves 2 chances. You see, their utility isn't ideal, but they do have 4 smokes, a couple of flashes, only 1 incendiary, and a double up. So it feels like you want to have at least the force buy opportunity in the last round if you lose this one.
And with how loose we've seen G2 playing the double up is actually quite a good tactic because they might be able to pick off players, you know, struggling alone.
Absolutely. Already, Shox takes down Magisk. Optic, they're starting to run out of match points at this point in time. G2, 2 rounds away from OT. Renegades crossing their fingers and toes.
This is where you question the setup a little bit. We've seen G2 run the setup with 2 players in connector, so it would be both Magisk and Alu, and that works a bit better. You're not as easily isolated. You see here, Magisk is down. Alu couldn't do anything about it, but he does something now, Alex.
Outrageous.
See, something that G2 does really well is like swarm on an area once they get room, but with the double orbs, it makes it difficult to do that, right? Because they can keep pivoting and just take a new angle and drop back. Whereas when they actually get enough space and they run over players, that's when G2 just, you know, they just collapse onto bomb sites. At the moment, they seem a bit hesitant, right? This could be the moment, the fact it's 15-13, that could be, you know, the nerves.
Time will start to become a factor as G2 do start to converge on towards B. It's going to be HS and Mixwell to receive, and Mixwell's on that AWP, the secondary AWPer, who is unbelievably proficient with it, despite his reluctance to play it. There's the flashbangs. He's going to get caught off guard, or is he? HS, the bodyguard's only going to take 1, and NBK, the natural born killer, does exactly what it says on the tin. Now at a disadvantage, Optic are running out of chances.
This is a save?
Save.
This is like a save scenario, right?
Like hit that F12 key, get out of there.
What do you like? What's the plan here? You're going into a number disadvantage retake scenario where, okay, you lose and then you have no money going into that last round, or very little.
This is where you should take a look at the money and realize that they don't have enough money to buy an M4, the players that died. And even if you survive here, you probably don't have enough money to drop an M4. So just save the op, save the M4, drop a UMP for someone so they can have all the utility, right? You can see it's 3rd round in a row, so they're going to get 2,400 each. There's no more M4s to be dropped, so you basically drop an SMG so that they can buy all the utility, and that's where you have 2 good rifles, 2 players with full utility.
I'm sorry, but we didn't notice that, or I didn't notice that until that second. Did you just see Body has 33 frags, the next closest on his team has 19.
Goodness gracious. I mean, we joined this game towards the closing stages, but we have not been aware. I mean, we've seen already 2 heroic Body rounds, and he's got 30 frags. Of all the names on that G2 roster, Bodies is not at the tip of your tongue when you expect a top fragger.
Does seem he steps up more often than not, though, in these deciding games, especially in group stages.
Kenny had a couple of good games earlier on in the tournament, right? We've seen the Kenny evolve, but obviously not to be right here. They may have neutralized him very well.
Probably also, you've mentioned, you know, they're a bit emotional, maybe a bit tilted. That's where Kenny struggles. You know, he is a very emotional player himself.
In terms of like, I guess telegraphed emotion or visible emotion is probably a better word. I think G2 have to be the most emotional.
Yeah, I mean, you can put a hammer on any one of them.
Chad. Yeah. What do you call here if you're G2?
30 seconds timeout. What's being said?
See, the thing is, if it was me in this moment, I would just call like a balls out play, like do something like really quick, like swarm onto a site. And,
because you know Alu plays A mostly. You know, both players that had the rifle, actually they killed one of them, so the rifle is most likely going to be towards A. Do just rush B?
Let's find out how they choose to play this one. Magisk has gone for some
incredibly
aggressive maneuver, and look at that already. NBK caught off guard. Alu's drawn Apex as well. Optic, they've got no money, no hope, you'd think, but actually they're making this work. Kenny is going to give G2 a way in. Claws digging in. Alu's got another one, double for him.
What a way for this to fall apart.
Another one.
Kenny has to 1v4.
He's making that AWP sing. 3. Alu, you've done your job. You can sit back, relax, and let the other 3 finish this one. Kenny has to go insane.
Yanko was bang on there, though. You know the AWP's going to be towards A, right? We know they saved it. It could have been just a B rush, and that could have been an all she wrote. They didn't even have numbers towards that site. Obviously, we can see everything.
And even if he's B, right, you're swarming it anyway, so you should be able to trade fairly easily.
Let's give Kenny just a moment longer. He's going to get caught from behind if he's not too careful. He just about descends the stairs.
Look, I don't want to call this one early, but it's over.
Kenny had a chance. Going to whistle past the ear of one of the 3 CTs remaining. They know exactly where he is. His Molly's having some fun.
Waffled.
He's a bit of a Rafflecopter. And this is the end. And that is all she wrote. Optic Gaming are going to Oakland, or at least they'll be playing tomorrow. They've managed to pick it up. A huge sigh of relief. They had about 5 match points. They'll close it out on the last.
This feels so disappointing for G2, seeing as how they played in some of these games, you know, especially that phase game. But you look at the losses that they've had in the end, they've been to all the teams that have made it through, right? No, they beat Gambit in overtime, but they lose to Optic, they lose to FaZe, and
Renegades.
the loss that hurts the most is probably the one against Renegades.
Absolutely. I mean, that's going to be an interesting team environment currently for G2, just because they could not have been closer throughout all of that.
No, and oh, that's a gutting experience. And we just saw Optic get, obviously they're elated with their win. They have to play SK tomorrow.
Those, oh God, yeah.
They're going to play SK.
Those are your standings, ladies and gentlemen. We have FaZe, Optic, and Gambit going to be going through to the quarters and semis respectively. And if we switch on over, I'm not sure if we can. If we wave a magic wand, you'll also see that of Group A. So
Press
you'll have
that A button.
your 6 teams. Yeah, I'll just do it now. It's touchscreen.
Hey.
NIP, Cloud9, and SK. So, I mean, the stories are Astralis and G2. Big dog. We talked about the top 4. Neither of them making it through.
We got the top 2 in the world, Slimba. We got SK and FaZe still in contention. FaZe obviously straight to the semis with that NIP roster. Yeah. And then the 2 playoff matches which are taking place tomorrow, we have Optic versus SK and Gambit versus C9, which could be 2 really nice matchups. Obviously, I'm just going to be leaning towards SK because, hey,
SK.
It's SK.
It's SK, yeah. And I did talk to League Ops. If SK or Optic, whoever win that matchup, we'll be playing against NIP in the semi, and then the winner of Gambit versus C9 will be playing against FaZe.
So you potentially, you know, have the SK FaZe Grand Finals.
Wow.
They're on the opposite sides of the bracket.
Yeah, basically. That's, I mean, that is your potential.
That's the dream.
That's the dream, just because especially this, I mean, we could have, that would be a lot of fun.
Not if you're an NIP fan, though.
Not if you're an NIP fan, absolutely not. No, the Swedes will be crossing their fingers and toes to see if that goes any differently. Anyway, it sounds like Alu has been grabbed, and love this. A winner's interview with Alu. You don't get them every day. Let's see what Trez has got for us.
That's right. I got Alu down here on the stage, and I'm telling you, you guys just put up a hell of a performance. What do you got to say?
I mean, we played really well, and I'm really happy.
It's a little bit exhausting, I can imagine, going the full length there. Coming into this, though, there's quite a bit riding onto this. You guys have had an interesting showing here so far. How's the team vibe? What's going on within the camp?
I mean, we are feeling good, but we've been traveling now for 3 weeks almost, and we have crashed out in EU Minor. Then we played by Power before this, played pretty bad there as well. So we are happy that we can show better face here.
Well, certainly the place to do it. This would be the stage, especially going into the later part of this year. Now, you guys will be going out, or excuse me, going in as the 2nd seed, standing up against SK. Where do you think that one lands?
I mean, that's going to be a really rough team. I think they are, like, FaZe plus SK are the 2 absolute best teams right now. But, I mean, we just have to go there without pressure and try to show the best we can.
Play your A game. That's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and give it to the Xfinity Analyst Desk one more time.
Yeah, Alu's face says it all when he hears, oh, yeah, you're playing against SK tomorrow. It's just like,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
You have to give props to Alu, though. The way he played that last round, that's typical Alu. He doesn't care if it's 14-14 or 15-14 or whatever. If he feels like he can have an opening, he'll go for it. He isn't afraid to take matters into his own hands if someone needs to make a play. And that was just a vintage round for him, from him, so to speak.
I mean, what was it? An AWP and then majority pistols and a UMP, I think, from my...
2 UMPs, 2 CZs maybe, and then the AWP. Yeah, Magic's pushing up, though, is what really caused that initial distraction, right? Grabbing that first kill.
I mean, that was the destabilization. Exactly. And I was just like, yo, what's up? Hi, my name's Alan.
Douche.
Yeah, I mean, Optic, a huge play from them. We haven't seen too much of them, but we will tomorrow. We have the brackets for you. Chad's already told you a little bit about what's going down, but it does always help to see it in front of you. Tomorrow, we will have SK Gaming versus Optic, and Alu's already made it clear that they are a team to fear. We know that for sure. Cloud9 Gambit is going to be our second quarterfinal. Just 2 best-of-3s tomorrow, and then as we venture in towards Oakland, so these teams will be guaranteed in the Oracle Arena. What's wrong?
No, nothing.
NIP, going to be, and of course FaZe Clan.
Yeah, they're already in there. They've already booked their spot.
So yeah, any NIP jersey owners and any FaZe Clan fans, make sure you got your tickets for the Oracle Arena because your boys are going to be there.
Yeah. And we're going to be there too.
We are.
We're super excited.
So what are your expectations for those 2 best-of-3s, guys? Just very quickly before we do say goodnight.
I think there's clear favorites, right?
Like
SK and
Gaming,
C9 probably the clear favorites from what we've seen.
I think Cloud9 Gambit can be on a fantastic game. You know, Gambit definitely showed up today. So does that mean that day one was just a bit of a outlier from them, and that this is how Gambit really looks? If that's the truth, I favor them against C9.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, we're going to go ahead and leave it there. We got a real couple of intriguing twists and turns. No G2, no Astralis. It has been a chaotic group stage, but we have our top 6. We'll be right back tomorrow with more from Intel Extreme Masters Oakland 2017 with your quarterfinals.